Am I audible? Please someone confirm. Okay, thank you. Let everyone join, then I will start it. Please wait till it's 3 o'clock. हाँ स्टार्ट कर दूं? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you
Yes,
are.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so everyone, welcome to Learn to Upgrade. in this particular session, till the next hour, we will be covering medical devices and diagnostics, and particularly we will be focusing on. Please let me know if the slides are changing, okay? So we will be focusing mainly on the career prospects. What are the future possibilities when we are starting about medical devices and diagnostics? And what are, sorry, someone saying something?
No, ma'am, continue.
Okay. So we will be starting with the introduction part. I hope the slide is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If the slides are not changing, now please tell me, then I will look into it, because sometimes what happens in slideshow, the slides do not change properly. Okay, so starting with the definition of medical device. So it can be defined as any instrument or apparatus which is somehow applicable with the medical science, as in with the it can be with the diagnosis, it can be with the prevention, with the sometimes also related with the treatment of any particular medical condition or disease. Okay, so this is actually a quote unquote definition that I have given over here. Yeah, sorry, someone saying something?
Maybe he's facing network issue.
Sorry, you are not audible.
Everyone, please mute your audio. You can ask anything at the end of the session, please. If you're not, if the madam is not audible, then you can chat only.
Am I audible or not? Shall I continue?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. So it can be defined as any instrument or apparatus or appliances which can be used alone or in combination. So that means combination, as in we can, it's not only that only one particular medical device can be used at a time. No, it's not like that. We can use association or a number of devices or instruments together to like treat a particular condition. Okay, so obviously we are talking about a medical condition of human beings only over here, and it can be used for the purpose of diagnosis, prevention, monitoring, treatment, or alleviation. Alleviation as in the cure of any particular disease. Also it can be for any particular injury. Okay, compensation of any particular injury, or modification or replacement of any anatomical or physiological aspects, and also in respect to control of conception. Okay, so over here, this diagram, as you can see over here, so these medical devices are usually classified into various classes. So this diagram I've just given to make you understand in brief just the what are the main categories of the different classes that we have. So class 1 will include the wheelchairs, stethoscope, dental patient chairs, etc. Talking about class 2, it can be class 2A and 2B. So 2A will include the hearing aids. Those people who are messaging, I will just read the messages later, because now I need to continue. Okay, and if you have any question, you can ask me at the end of the session. I will keep time for that. So then we have devices for storage of organs, for transplantation, any kind of dental transplantation. Okay. Next, coming to class 2B, we have the lung ventilators, the diagram that is given over here. We call it as BiPAP. Then we have urinary catheters, different vascular catheters. Okay, and lastly, we have class 3, where we have different breast implants, prosthetic heart valves, vascular catheters again. Okay. So moving forward, I hope the slide is changing. If not, please let me know. Now, what are the different healthcare activities, the major healthcare activities or sectors where we can actually use or apply these medical devices and diagnostics? Okay. So firstly, it will include obviously prevention of any particular disease, diagnosis of any particular condition, therapeutic purposes, obviously, then also for rehabilitation. Okay, and for palliative care. Now, what is actually palliative care? Palliative care is particularly those conditions where the patients, like it's particularly applicable for the terminally ill patients. Okay, say for example a cancer patient, or maybe a patient who is like say around 80 or 90 years old, and now maybe that person is having some joint problem, osteoarthritis, okay, or maybe rheumatoid arthritis, any kind of autoimmune disease. So these are basically some conditions where we actually cannot do anything. Okay, like do anything as in we actually cannot treat or cure that particular patient. So in that case, we actually try to manage the different symptoms. Maybe there is acute pain that the patient is suffering from, so we actually target at managing those particular symptoms, and that is what is actually known as palliative care. And in that case, these different medical devices or diagnostics are of much use. Okay, so this is basically a list of the different medical imaging devices that are there. So it can be grouped as in vivo and in vitro. I hope you know what is in vivo and in vitro. So in vivo is basically when we are dealing with the human body, and in vitro is something which is outside the human body in controlled parameters or in lab conditions particularly. Okay, so in vivo we have x-ray, which is very common, we all know. Then we have CT scan, that is the full form is computerized tomography. Then we have USG, we have MRI. Okay, so these are the different diagrams that I have given over here. And nextly, moving on to the in vitro diagnosis, where also we can have the applicability of medical devices. So we have sample separation, we have electrophoresis, then we have different cell counters, which are mainly used to count the different number of cells, particularly useful for the differential count that we do of the different blood cells after taking the blood sample. Then chromatography, again something very important, microscopy, hematology, immunology, the different serological tests that we perform. Okay, so these will come under the in vitro diagnostics because obviously it's outside the human body. Now coming to the purpose, now like what is the importance or why we are talking about this medical device and diagnostics, particularly with respect to biomedical engineering. Okay, so firstly is to create awareness that medical devices should be used effectively and safely. Okay, now whenever, since you people are going to work in the medical field, something related with the medical science, so it's something very important that you understand ki what is the safety of your patients. Okay, so whenever you are operating or whenever you are working with any of such medical device or instruments, you need to be very careful about the safety and the use of that particular instrument. Means you not only the safety of your patient, but also your own safety, as well as the safety of your colleagues, the safety of the persons that are also working in your vicinity. Okay, so that is something very important. Then we have use medical devices in a professional and scientific manner. Again, you need to be very much scientific in your approach and as well as professional, obviously. Okay, then also you need to appreciate the proper use or the importance of these devices in the clinical areas, as well as in research applications are also there. Now what are the competencies that you need to have uh, if you are working with a medical device, or if you are a biomedical engineer? So firstly, you need to state the specific diagnostic and therapeutic outcomes which are expected to happen if the experiment or the test goes fine. Then you need to know the principle on which the device is working. I think someone's audio is on, please mute it. Then you need to describe the structure of commercially available devices, including the different option settings. Means you need to know in details how your device is actually functioning. Okay. Then you need to identify the different possible health hazards. Someone's animation is also on. Please remove these things. It's coming on my screen. Then also you need to describe the measurable objective device performance indicators which are directly related to the device effectiveness and safety. Means not only the processing or not only the functioning of the instrument, but also you need to know about the different precautions, the different safety measures that you need to follow. Next, demonstrating the level of capability in the use of the device, which ensures the required level of effectiveness while minimizing risk to the patient. This is something I already mentioned. You need to be very careful about the safety concerns, and not only safety concerns of your patient, but also safety concern of you, yourself, as well as your colleagues. Okay. Explain limitation of the device and contraindications. Now, this is something very important. What do you mean by limitation? Limitation as in each and every device will not be able to perform each and every kind of test, isn't it? So that is basically the limitation. Okay, if this is the condition of the patient, then we need to maybe perform some other test. Okay, so that is basically the limitation which you need to know. And also contraindication as in many cases, since most of these medical devices actually deal with lots of radiation. Okay, different electromagnetic interactions are there. So this is something which needs to be taken care of, because in many cases what happens, maybe the patient is suffering from a particular condition where maybe that patient will it will not be very good to expose that patient to that particular test or to that particular machine. Okay, so say for example, in case of MRI, there are many patients who are maybe having heart implants, okay, or any kind of implant, dental implant also. Such patients are not allowed to go for a MRI test, because it will interfere, that magnet will interfere with the imaging. Okay, so these are actually the contraindications is basically when you cannot go for that particular solution or for that particular device or instrument. Okay, then also you need to recognize the malfunction, because see, any machine or any instrument, we have made that instrument, we as in human beings have made that instrument, and we are operating that instrument also, isn't it? So it's very obvious that there will be some kind of malformation, or sorry, not malformation, malfunctioning in the device, isn't it? It's something like very common, it can happen. So that is also something you need to take care of, isn't it? You need to test your machine or device properly before actually using it on your patient. Okay, and exactly that which I mentioned, key awareness that a device should be checked before use, and in case of reusable devices, left in a condition for subsequent use. Okay, say for example, in USG we use those there's a mouse kind of thing which is actually eliminating those vibrational waves. So that thing is only one, and you are using it on multiple patients, isn't it? So it's very important that after performing the USG of each patient, you should actually sanitize it properly, isn't it? Because you are going to use that same mouse again. So these are some of the practices that you need to maintain when you are working as a medical device specialist. Okay. Okay. So now, when we are talking about the different diagnostic measures, one of the sorry, someone saying anything?
Ma'am, actually voice is not clear.
Voice is not clear. Okay.
Yeah. Please do something.
Yes, ma'am. My voice is clear.
Like,
Some
is it
network
less
problem.
or it's cracking? What is the problem?
It's cracking.
It's cracking.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right.
Okay, I will connect my earphones then.
मैम हम लोग का आवाज सही आ रहा है, उनको बोलिए रिजॉइन करेंगे फिर से.
I cannot rejoin again. Ma'am, actually someone is writing on screen.
Yeah, I'm telling that. Who is doing that? Please don't do that. The screen is not
Altaf.
visible only.
Altaf is written.
Please tell that person not to do this.
Ma'am, it will be actually internet issue. Ask them to check their internet connection.
Okay. They can just then leave and then again join if there's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Later.
Am I audible now? Is it clear? My voice now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So talking about the there some diseases are non-communicable and some diseases are communicable. So what do you mean by communicable diseases which can easily get transmitted from one person to another, isn't it? Obviously when you are coming in physical contact or in close contact. So one such disease, very important disease, is HIV. I hope all of you know that. uh, Human immunodeficiency virus. Okay, that is the name of the virus, and the name of the disease is actually AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Okay. So then we also have TB. TB stands for tuberculosis. It is again a communicable disease. So for such communicable diseases, what is the uh, what is the fear factor behind this disease is that since they are very much communicable, the mortality rate is very more. Okay, what is mortality rate? Mortality rate is basically the death rate. Means the rate at
Death
which
rate.
death rate means the rate at which
Ma'am, can you please repeat again?
which part. Okay, I will just repeat. So mortality rate is basically the rate at which people will die if suffering from that particular condition. Okay, so over here we are talking about communicable diseases like HIV and TB. So for that, uh, with respect to, since we are talking about medical devices over here, what can we do with that? We can make diagnosis of those particular diseases more more rapid, isn't it? So that we can actually stop it from you can actually stop it from rapid spreading from one person to another. Okay, so we can go for sputum smear light microscopy. I think you know what is sputum. It's the saliva that you will have to collect from the patient, and then you need to prepare a smear on a glass slide and then just visualize it under the microscope. So now there's a particular sensitivity when we are talking about this microscopy techniques, because sensitivity as in how much you can actually uh, or how effectively you can actually detect that particular or diagnose that particular condition. Okay, so it's around 20 to 80%, as they have said over here. And talking about WHO, I hope we all know what is WHO, World Health Organization. So it has recommended the use of light emitting diode microscopy. So since see, all these different types of microscopy, these are actually nothing but medical devices, isn't it? Since we are using it for the diagnosis of these diseases. Sorry, someone saying something? Sorry. Are my slides changing? Please, someone say if the slides
Yeah,
are changing.
everything fine. Everything fine. You can carry on.
Okay, because I can't see the change in the slide, so I think some problem is there. I will just stop share and then again start sharing, okay? Because my slides are not changing over here. Is the slide visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Please keep
okay.
it in a full screen mode.
Yeah. Okay, so again, talking about another communicable disease or infectious disease, that is malaria. It's again something which is it's a like it can be a fatal disease, but obviously not as fatal as HIV or TB, because we have got treatment for malaria. But still, there are different strains that are causing malaria. The most common strain is Plasmodium falciparum that I've given over here. Okay, we have other strains like Plasmodium ovale also. Okay, so again, the different molecular diagnostic techniques by which we can actually detect this disease, that is malaria. Obviously, we have GIMSA staining microscopy. It's a kind of conventional or traditional method that we can go for. But talking about newer techniques related to medical diagnostics, we have ELISA. ELISA stands for enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. So basically, I will just tell you in short what is ELISA. ELISA is basically a serological assay. So whenever we are talking about serological or immunological assay, it's basically based on the reaction between antibody and antigen. Okay. So antibodies are, both antibody and antigens are proteins. So basically the antibodies are formed in response to the antigens. Okay. So over here, antigen will be the foreign pathogen which has caused the disease in my body. So in this case, the antigen will be the malarial pathogen, that is P. falciparum in this case. Okay. And in response to that antigen, my body will be producing antibody. So what we do in case of ELISA test is we either detect the antigen or the antibody in the serum of the patient. Okay. And that's how we detect that whether the patient is positive or negative. Okay. So the main concept is there will be reaction between the antigen and antibody if the specific antibody is present in my serum, and then we give a enzyme which actually enzyme along with the substrate which acts on the substrate, and as a result of which there is a color change, and depending on the intensity of the color change, we can actually determine how much of that antigen or antibody is present in the serum. Okay. Immunofluorescence assay is also somewhat same, because instead of the enzyme, we are actually using the different fluorescent agents. Okay. Those people who are raising hands, I think you have got questions. Please do wait till the end of the session. I will keep time for question answer. Then you can ask your question. Okay. And we also have different nucleic acid based assays also as the newer techniques. So now again talking about HIV. So this is basically a diagram which I have given how you can actually set a window period when we are talking about HIV testing. Okay. So basically HIV is a disease which has a long latent period. I hope you know what is latent period. Latent period is basically it's basically the incubation period of the pathogen. Okay. So it's the time period till which the pathogen is there in your body, but it's not producing the symptoms. Okay, so you actually don't get to know that you are suffering from that disease. Okay, so different time period you can go for different testing. Okay, say for example day 10 you can go for PCR. Okay, PCR is polymerase chain reaction, where you actually amplify the DNA samples, in this case RNA, since HIV is a RNA virus. So that is what is I have told over here also, RNA NAT test, that is nucleic acid amplification test. And since HIV is a RNA virus, so obviously the nucleic acid will be RNA. We can also go for Western blotting too. Western blotting is basically the technique where we can particularly detect the proteins. Yeah, someone saying something? Okay, so when we are talking about the health IT system, so health IT system is basically how we can mm, modify access, or we can increase access to the different healthcare technologies through uh, medical devices. Okay, so basically we can develop different secondary or tertiary care centers. Okay, and the medical devices are actually a major part of the health technologies, which will also include the different vaccination procedures. Okay, again I hope you know what is vaccination. It's also known as immunization, when we are actually immunizing a person against a particular pathogen. Okay, it can be a bacteria, it can be a virus. Okay, so when we are immunizing that particular person with the help of a vaccine, that is what is vaccination. So vaccine is usually nothing but uh, the uh, the protein part of the pathogen, obviously in like lower doses or in such a manner so that you actually do not get the original disease, but still there's a immune response. There's elicitation of your immune system, so that the immune cells, they actually get sensitized to that particular antigen, so that in future if you contract that disease, maybe even if you develop that disease, it will be very mild. Okay, like it will not be very fatal or dangerous for you. Okay, so that is it. So it's estimated that the global medical device market in the year 2011, which is more than 10 years back, was around 350 billion US dollars. So which is huge, isn't it? So basically it's the, and what is overwhelming fact or very interesting fact is that around 90% of the health technology sales is centered within the high and middle income countries, and India, we know, it's a middle income, or in many cases it comes under LIC, that is low income country. Okay, so now again, those people who are raising hands, please keep your questions in your mind, I will answer it surely. So around 80% of the medical devices, I hope my voice is clear now.
Yes, ma'am. Cleared.
Yeah, clear,
Okay,
clear.
okay. So 80% of the medical devices in the different LICs are acquired by donation, and use of such medical devices in the LICs were originally designed for use in HIC. Now, this is something we know, isn't it? We are actually mimicking the Western countries, and Western countries are the high income countries. So majority of the technological advancements are something which have already occurred in the Western countries few years back, and now we are just trying to imitate them. That is what is the the naked truth. So that is it. And in low income countries, there are some constraints like unreliable energy supply and water, limited distribution and infrastructure, because the manpower is to machine ratio is less, isn't it? Like the demand is much more, but the supply is, in comparison to that, the supply is less. That is the scenario in countries like India, because the population is more. So according to the population, the demand should be met, isn't it? Which is usually not the scenario. Again, it's hanging. Slide is not changing again. Yeah, is it visible now, slide?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so portable diagnostics are usually those diagnostics which we can actually carry from one place to another, and mainly we have different wearable devices. I will be talking about that. So now early detection is again something very important. Please mute yourself. Someone's audio is on. So we have different diagnostic tools which are particularly applicable for early diagnosis, and again as I mentioned earlier also, early detection is something very useful if we can actually use the medical devices for that. Okay, so there are various laboratory based diagnosis techniques. Point of care the diagnostics are also there, which are very rapid, simple and inexpensive, isn't it? The different the test kits that we have, okay, diabetes test kits, the pregnancy test kits, okay, these are basically the portable diagnostics that we can use. And if we have a industry outlook, then it's estimated that by the year 2025, which is 2 years more to go, the global market will be expected to reach around US dollar 612.7 billion, which is huge. And the annual growth rate will be around 5.4%. So that means we can actually, since it's more focusing on the career perspectives, I will be coming to the career perspectives. So it's something which has got a bright future. So coming to the career perspectives, the different employers who actually are going to employ people like you who will be going to study about this medical device and diagnostics. So we have Philips Healthcare, we have GE Healthcare, Johnson and Johnson. Obviously, all of us we know about that. So these are some of the big brands. There are some small enterprises also which are sprouting up here and there, and they also actually employ different medical diagnostic experts. Okay, so these are basically the different roles that you can get, like as in the job role that you can actually go for if you are studying about biomedical engineering. So quality assurance and quality control, they are somewhat similar, I would say, because they are mainly dealing with the quality check. So whenever a particular device or a particular instrument or diagnostic is getting produced, you need to check the quality, isn't it, whether the device is working properly or not, whether there is any kind of malformation or functioning. That is something you need to check for. Okay. And also R&D designing. R&D is something again very important. It's a very important sector of not only medical device jobs, but any company which is producing something. R&D sector is something very important, because R&D stands for research and development. Means how that particular device, how that particular instrument will be formed. Okay, what will be the different manufacturing steps. Okay, the different parts of the machines, details about the functioning of the machine. That is something which will be the role of the person who is attached with the R&D sector. Okay, and also sales and marketing, obviously it will be there. Okay, so just a rough idea about what can be the income if you go for this medical device sales or any kind of medical jobs. Again, someone's audio is on. Please mute yourself. So it will be around 2.7 lakhs average, on an average. So it's basically uh, it depends on what particular role you are involved in your job, and also whether you are a fresher, whether you are having experience. Because obviously if you are if you are having any kind of experience, then obviously your salary will be more. So basically at the starting, this can be your average salary. Now coming to the most important part, that is, what are the qualifications, what are the skills, what are the what to say, the expertise that actually these companies demand from their employees. Okay, so qualification will be mainly, someone's audio is constantly on. Please keep it on mute, because that's why my voice is not coming clear, I think. So mainly the main prerequisite when we are talking about qualification will be graduation. Okay, so graduation mainly in the field of life sciences, or it can be also engineering. Okay, engineering as in biophysics or biomedical engineering, like that. Okay, because also whenever we are talking about any device, not only medical device, any instrument, any apparatus, it's very important that you know how that machine is made, isn't it, how that machine is functioning, how to operate that machine. Okay, how to switch on, how to switch off. These are some of the important aspects that you need to know. Only knowing about the disease or only knowing about the condition of the patient will not be enough, isn't it? So that is there. And hands-on experience is again something very important. If you already have got experience, because in many in many institutes they send the students for internship, or maybe they conduct some workshops so that the students are getting to know hands-on experience, or at least, if not hands-on, at least getting a demo of how to use those particular machines. That is something important. And coming to the skills and experience, uh, you need to be obviously commercial and business awareness, because whenever you are working with any device or any instrument, it's something, again someone's audio is on, so you need to know about the marketing prospects also, isn't it? Because only making the device will not be sufficient. You need to put it out in the market. You need to go to the sales sector, so that the device is, publicity part you need to take care of, because you need to sell your devices in the market. You need to make it common among the people. Okay. Then obviously sales and customer relationship skills, how to make your customer confide in you, believe in whatever you are saying about your device. Okay. And also you need to have detailed knowledge about biotech, medtech and healthcare. Okay, what are the the latest developments, means the research. Okay, what are the upcoming researches or future perspectives of the different techniques. Analytical and problem solving skills, obviously, if there is any kind of malfunctioning or malformation. And obviously critical thinking. Okay. uh so talking about health IT, so this is just a chart kind of thing that I've given over here. So this is basically, it's kind of a interconnection between these different parts. Okay. So the tasks that you need to perform with the help of the different tools and techniques, that will form your organization, that will form your physical environment, and totally it will constitute the team members. Okay. So the different aspects when we are talking about the diagnostic process will include information capturing. Okay, clinical history and interview, this is again something very important. You need to know the history of the patient, isn't it? All the medical history as in, not only, please mute the audio, whoever is audio is on, please mute it. So medical history not only related to the test that you are performing, but also any kind of medical history. Yeah, someone saying something. Okay, so because what happens, just as I mentioned in the previous slides also, in case of MRI, if a person is having any kind of dental implant or heart implant, okay, uh, artificial pacemaker as they have, so you need to know that also, isn't it? So that is maybe a previous medical history of that person. But if you do not know that, and you just put the person in the MRI machine, then obviously it will be fatal, the outcome will be fatal. Okay. Then physical examination and the different diagnostic tests, because in many cases what happens, say for example in CT scan, PET scan, what happens is there's a particular dye is there which you need to give to perform that particular test. And that dye is actually a toxic dye. Means toxic as in not very much toxic, otherwise obviously the test would not have been conducted, but it's to some extent toxic, and some people, they are allergic to that dye. Okay. So what happens is that if those allergic persons are exposed to that dye, to that particular test, that person will immediately develop allergic response has been asphyxia, uh, breathing problem. Okay, respiratory distress will be there. So you need to know that beforehand, isn't it? And in some cases maybe the patient himself or herself will not know that I am allergic to that dye, isn't it? Maybe I have not done that test before. Then how on earth will I be able to know that I am allergic to that dye, isn't it? So what you need to do is, as a medical technologist, you need to test that person to that dye, blood test, before conducting the test. Okay, so these are some of the things that you need to go before going for the final process. So the design of health IT has the potential to support the diagnostic process. So it's basically an intertwined kind of thing. Okay. So the by supporting the individuals involved in the diagnostic process, it can actually improve the diagnostic performance and reduce the potential for diagnostic errors. Okay, diagnostic errors as in just the example that I gave just now. Okay, about the MRI and the dye thing. Okay. So see, this is basically how you can actually reduce the different diagnostic errors. Okay, this is a table that I've given over here. I don't know why this striking and these inks are coming. It's very disturbing. What kind of problem is this? I don't know. Anyways,
This is
so
disgusting, ma'am.
yeah, like it's not visible only properly, and continuously it's happening since the beginning of the
They are
session
not
only.
interested in study, ma'am. I think they are bothering you only. They don't want to study. If they don't want to study, they can leave.
Anyways, leave it. So number one, we can provide access to information, means the different, the selectivity, how the device is working, all that. Recording and sharing assessments again, because if you are the person who is in charge of uh, operating the instrument,
हिंदी में प्लीज
and the persons who are maybe conducting the test, the doctors or the nurses, it's very important that you share the information with those
हिंदी
persons, isn't it? Please mute the audio.
हिंदी हिंदी
Please mute the audio. Maintaining dynamic patient history, again, which I already mentioned. Maintaining problem lists, what are the problems that you can face. Tracking medications, again, because in many cases the persons are under some kind of medication, maybe that particular medication will not allow the patient to go for that test. Okay, maybe some allergic response will develop. So that is the thing. And also tracking the tests. Whenever the test is happening, you should be seated there and facilitate the review or the entire process. Okay, so there should be retrieval of accurate, timely, and reliable native and imported data. There should be a proper system which the user will interact with. Data display should be simple, okay, so that any person can understand. Okay, it should not be in the form of some algorithm or some program like that. uh, Evidence at the point of care to aid decision making. Point of care diagnostics I already discussed. And also enhancements, again, someone's audio is continuously on. And also to enhance workflow, automatic mundane tasks, and streamlining work, never increasing physical or cognitive workload. Means you need to tackle the workload. Okay, now coming to personalized care. Now what do you mean by personalized care? Personalized care means, see, each and every one of us are actually different from the other person. Okay, as in, say for example, even if we are suffering from the same disease, the manifestations will be different. Okay, the symptoms that I will show, maybe the other person will not show the same symptoms. And also in case of treatment also, maybe the kind of the kind of uh, am I audible?
Yeah.
Ma'am, audible, ma'am.
Please, those persons whose audio is on, please mute.
Ma'am, ignore it.
So maybe the medicines that I am taking, the response that I will be giving to that medicine will not be the same as the other person is giving. Okay, so there comes the importance of personalized care. Means individually how to treat or how to go for the management of the symptoms of each and every person, irrespective of whether they're suffering from the same condition. Okay, so for that what we need is, we need AI. Okay, and AI is something, I guess all of us know, chat gpt. Thanks to chat gpt, all of us are aware of what AI is. Okay, so AI is something which can actually help us in each and every sector. Okay, it can be a blessing,
Ma'am,
or it can sorry, yeah, say.
you know that particular person in our group, ma'am. Actually, she's totally.
Sorry. Anyways, I will
Can you?
continue.
She wants to say, I think someone is bothering her.
Yeah, leave it. Like I can't do anything. It's online, and you are all like grown up. You are not children, school children. So there's nothing I can do. Anyways, so These AI systems can actually help us to translate a patient's entire medical record into a single number that represents a likely diagnosis. Means basically the manual job will be reduced. Okay, the amount of time that we need to give manually will be reduced with the help of this AI or machine learning, not only in the medical diagnostics but in any sector of human life. Okay. Now coming to precision diagnostics again, so we have different imaging techniques that we can go for, like x-ray imaging, again something I have already talked about. Okay, radiology. What is this? Like, please mute the audio. I can't continue like this. I can't hear my own voice only.
What is happening here, ma'am? Is this class?
Remove that particular person in our group, ma'am.
Nothing to say. Anyways, I will
You
just
should,
continue.
ma'am, you should leave today. You should don't teach.
Anyways, I'm almost done. So the imaging techniques will include again the different radiological methods, the different pathological testings we have. Okay, histological testings where we collect the tissue and go for the pathological testings, and also diabetic retinopathy screening. So screening, I hope you know what is screening and what is meant by diabetic.
Ma'am, can you please now unmute yourself? Everybody forcefully, and because many of unresponsible attendees are they are making the noise.
Yeah. So shall I continue?
Unnecessary in the class. So now, I suggest you please write over the chat option. Yes, now you may continue, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So diabetic retinopathy is basically the condition where there is vision loss due to uncontrolled diabetes. Okay. Again, I think you know what is diabetes. So diabetes is the condition where the blood glucose level is highly increased. It may be, it may be due to deficiency of insulin in your body. Insulin is the hormone which is actually responsible to control the blood glucose level in the normal range. The normal range is around 70 to 100 mg per dl. So if that insulin is not present in your body, or if your body is not able to receive or act against not against act along with that insulin, then also you can have diabetes. These are the two types, type 1 and type 2. Okay. So if that diabetes is not controlled, then it can lead to retinopathy. Not only retinopathy, it can lead to your kidney damage, liver damage. Okay, different edema, ulcers you can get. Okay, so here we are particularly talking about diabetic retinopathy screening, because it can be easier with the help of AI algorithms that we have, and different it can help us in robust diagnostic performance within a short period of time. Again, it's hanging. Just
Yeah. Is there any other questions anybody have? Please write over the chat option.
yeah, I just have a few slides more.
All right, ma'am. Then continue, and
Yeah.
by end of this meeting, students can post their chat, their whatever
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have the
sure,
query
sure,
over the
sure.
chat option.
Yeah, yeah. So we have the different wearable devices. Okay. So wearable devices are basically something we all know, we are aware about. Okay. I'm not going for full screen because it's hanging. Okay. It's not changing. I think it's visible. I will just zoom it a little bit more. Okay, so we have the different smartwatches. Okay, the pulse oximeters are there, the blood pressure monitors are there. So these are basically the wearable devices which can actually help us to continuously track ourselves as in the different health parameters of us. It can especially useful in the area of data analysis, overcoming the barriers to use, particularly by improving the device accuracy, because these are actually devices which we can monitor. We can set it according to our need. Okay, So basically, with the help of these devices, we can actually improve patient outcome and also the quality of life. Why? Because particularly in case of the smartwatches, we can actually continuously monitor, isn't it, our heart rate, our respiratory rate, okay, then oxygen saturation. These are some of the things we can continuously monitor. And so if we can see that, okay, if I'm walking less, then this is happening to me, or if I'm eating more, this is happening to me, then it will be easier for us to be careful about our health conditions, isn't it? So that is why it will eventually help us to improve the quality of our life. Okay, so there are various examples like biosensors, thermometers, inhalers, okay, smartwatches, obviously, that I mentioned, blood pressure monitor, ECG monitors. Okay, these are some of the major wearables that we have. And coming to cancer screening, again, something very important when you are talking about a medical device and diagnostics. So cancer screening is again something very important. Why? Because cancer is a disease which the symptoms are actually shown at a very later stage. Okay, maybe like there are different stages of cancer. Okay, primary, secondary, tertiary, and the last stage. Okay, and in many types of cancer, tertiary stage is only the last stage. So what happens is that it's very important that if we screen, if we can screen those patients for whether they are at risk of developing cancer, then maybe we can actually save that particular person from tumor progression. Okay, tumor progression as in progression of the cancer from maybe from a benign stage to the malignant stage. Okay, so for that, cancer screening will be very important, and particularly talking about breast cancer risk assessment, because I think we all know that breast cancer is one of the most common types of cancer that women face in India and almost all over the world, in the USA also. So for that, we can go for different breast biopsies, different radiation exposures. Okay, so these are basically the diagrams. The diagrams that I have given. So different types of breast biopsies are there, and these are basically the different radiation doses that we can use for when we are, actually going for the treatment or management of cancers. And then coming to the assistive devices. So assistive devices as in devices which are actually helping us from any kind of physical abnormality or physical or pathological condition. So this I have given, I think this is something I've already mentioned in the, I think in my first or second slide, that is the different classes. Okay, so this walkers, this crutches, these are very helpful for those persons who are handicapped, or maybe they have suffered from any kind of amputation surgery. Okay, and lastly, the fitness wearables, that is the smartwatches and the different monitors, blood pressure monitors, or pulse oximeters that we can go for. And these fitness wearables are particularly to help us improve the quality of life. Okay, so I think that's it. So in the conclusion, I would just say ki medical device and diagnostics, it's a largely proliferating field. The future is very bright because technology is something that is advancing day by day, isn't it? So the more we go towards our future, there will be more technological advancements, and we will be obviously following those, adopting those advancements, and it will lead to more of AI related tools, machine learning methods, through which this medical device and diagnostics will be more important career perspective or career prospect that you can choose. Okay, so I think that's it. Now, if anyone has any question, then please ask. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Please continue.
So I will just see the chat box then. Yeah, cancer biopsy,
Okay.
obviously, because yeah, sorry, someone saying something.
No problem, please. I just wanted to tell you, just take questions from the chat option.
Yeah, I'm just seeing the chat options only. So cancer biopsy, see, whatever diagnostic methods we are going for will involve medical device. Okay, cancer biopsy, the machine we are using for performing the biopsy is nothing but a medical device. Okay. Biomarkers. Okay, biomarkers are basically mainly enzymes and hormones which are present in our body. And see, any particular enzyme or hormone, any particular chemical that is usually present in our body has a normal range. Okay, just as I mentioned while I was talking about diabetes, the normal value of blood glucose is this. Okay, so similarly, any hormone, any enzyme that is present in our blood has a normal range. Now, whenever we are suffering from some particular disease, with respect to some particular organ, what will happen? Say, for example, I'm suffering from liver cirrhosis. So that means the enzymes, the hormones that are present inside my liver, maybe obviously, if there is liver cirrhosis, the normal level of those enzymes and hormones will be distorted, isn't it? So that is how we can actually use those enzymes and hormones as the markers to detect such diseases. Okay, so if I see that the enzyme which is supposed to present in my liver is very much increased or very much decreased, that means some kind of problem is there with my liver. Okay, so it's a kind of a marker to detect a particular disease. Okay. Then Western blotting. Okay, Western blotting and latent period. Yeah, very important question. Western blotting, I already mentioned, it's a technique which we use for isolating the different proteins. Okay, and it's particularly important for detection of diseases like I mentioned about Western blotting while I was talking about STDs like HIV, I think. So isolating the particular proteins as in the antigens, the foreign antigens, which can actually lead to the diseases. Okay, so that is what is Western blotting. We firstly we need to perform electrophoresis, and then we need to go for Western blotting. Okay, and latent period, what is latent period? Before any kind of infection, mostly, not all infection, but mostly majority of the infections, there is a latent period. Means the period where you will not get any symptom, so you will not be able to understand that you are suffering from that particular disease. Okay, and which is particularly important in case of HIV, because the latent period is very long. It can last for around 5 to 6 years also. Okay, so after that, after 5 years, when the patient will start getting the symptoms, it will be too late, isn't it? So that is what is the latent period. More the latent period, usually more dangerous will be the disease. Then okay, thank you very much, Ikra Mukaddas, thank you. Yeah, notes, notes as in this PPT you will get, I think, if you
Yeah.
contact. Yeah, that's it. I think morbidity is basically morbidity, mortality,
We have
natality. Three terms are there. Okay, natality is birth rate, mortality is death rate, and morbidity is the rate at which diseases are like people are contracting the diseases. That is morbidity. Okay. HPLC, TLC, these are the various chromatographic
we have one more
techniques.
question in the
Okay.
chat section.
Eliza, you already mentioned. Yeah, say what question? Yeah, please. Someone was talking about some
Yeah,
question. Yeah.
yes, we have one question in the chat option that by which test we can grade and stage cancer. I think someone asked it.
Sorry, can you please repeat?
By which test we
Yeah.
can grade and stage cancer?
Okay.
Can you
See,
please look into the chat option?
cancer can be of any type.
There is a
Okay.
one question.
Cancer is
Yeah.
something which can happen in each and like any part of our body. Okay. Irrespective of our gender or age, it can happen with anyone at any time in any part of the body. Okay. So, and different cancers have different types of what to say, manifestations and also reasons. Mostly, any type of cancer will have a genetic predisposition or an environmental predisposition, and in some cases, both. Okay, means genetic also will be there, and environmental factors will also be there. So, say for example, lung cancer. Okay, environmental factor will be smoking, and the genetic factor will obviously be if your if that person's father or grandfather or mother was chain smoker, that will be the genetic factor. So now there are different tests for the screening of different cancers. Okay, you can go for blood test, you can go for mammography, that is breast cancer biopsy, you can go for the histological assays, means collection of tissue and then going for the histological assay. Staining techniques different. Okay, so it will depend on what type of cancer it is. Okay, any more question? It's already time, it's already 4 o'clock. If anyone has any more question, please ask. I think I've answered mostly all the questions from the chat box. Cancer is curable or not, it depends again on what type of cancer it is. Okay, and also at which stage your cancer is getting diagnosed. That is also very important. If it is diagnosed at the last stage, then obviously the chances will be much less than if it is diagnosed in the primary stage. But nowadays, since there is many more medications, advancement of medical science, most of the cancers are nowadays, if not curable, at least treatable or manageable. Okay, means the person will not die, which was the case earlier. I think that's it. Future scope, I think I already mentioned. Future scope of medical device, ki technology is advancing, so obviously the future scope is very bright. Okay, there are various job prospects in quality assurance, in sales. Okay, yeah, pharmaceutical devices, obviously, pharmaceutical devices, as in there are various in nasal sprays are there. Okay, oxygen masks and all these are only the pharmaceutical devices. Okay, I think that's it. So can I leave, please? The co-host, can you please tell me whether I should leave or not?
Yes, ma'am. So thank you, Ms. Bashu. It was a really very nice presentation, and
Thank
I
you very
hope
much.
that students have enjoyed it, especially the Q&A which you had at the end.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
request the students to please don't leave the meeting, because further I'm going to guide you few upcoming webinars which is expected to be organized, and also I'll let you know all that how to download your certificate of this meeting. So students, please stay. I'll guide you in another couple of minutes. Meanwhile, Ms. Bashu, thank you very much for joining us. We'll connect you for the upcoming webinars. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very
So
much. So I'm leaving.
yeah, welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. So just a minute, let me share my screen to you all. I hope my voice is audible to you. If yes, then please write over the chat option if you are facing any kind of a trouble.